So I want to start out this video with some boring PSAs. And one of them is big on preventative maintenance, or say preventing on your house catching on fire as much. Yeah, I went to check my outside air conditioning disconnect just I was doing preventative maintenance and saw a massive surprise. Well, pinging some stuff with some pros on my Discord server, Nexus stepped up and said, hey, just probably the best thing to do would just change the whole disconnect box, because trying to find that breaker and everything else that was getting cooked is just going to be a huge pain in the ass. And he was absolutely correct. I found the disconnect, swapped the thing out, been keeping an eye on it just to make sure it is aluminum wiring. I did put on that C stuff, I guess, what's the name of it? I'll probably put a link or a graphic or something because I forgot the name of it. And did check it afterwards and haven't had any issues with it. I'm glad to catch this one before something bad happened. So if you got the ability to check your stuff outside and you're familiar with it and or feel safe about it, definitely do cut off the breakers and stuff and verify it is cut off. Just give things a check, because summer's in full swing in most places, and you never know when something like this could happen to you as well. So we've been busy with a bunch of different projects. I know it's full force summer. And yes, one of them was a pretty cool project, and definitely the OG has been enjoying it tremendously. So in speaking with that one, I ran into an issue with a water leak, and I was so glad that I had those little incline water leak sensors, because it was in a half bath that I didn't go into often, and the kids ended up using it. And I walk in the house, didn't have my phone with me, so no notifications, but the little audible alarm on them was beeping, and I was like, what the hell is beeping? And I went and found it, and sure enough, that water leak in the toilet was leaking in the half bath. And I wouldn't have never known until it was too late. So luckily I had those little water leak sensors around. So if you're not using any water leak sensors around the house, you definitely should. I can guarantee you it'll save your ass one day. And yeah, they are kind of boring until they do. So figure out something. But I'll leave a link down below if you want to check out those Linkind ones that I use, because they're cheap and they use regular batteries, and they're Zigbee too, right? Now probably this is the most exciting out of the whole batch for me. And some of you may be going, well, what the hell is that? It's just a power supply, right? Yep. But what it powers, that's a whole nother deal. And well, it's probably more nostalgia to me and many others out in this realm, most likely. But yeah, we'll get to this one. So we did that live stream with showing stuff with the new Zigbee Bridge Pro. But then, yeah, and then during the stream, I had an issue with trying to pair something, and then even the firmware upgrade failing. Well, come to find out, this is a bad unit. And, well, I just can't really do anything with it in the current state. The Zigbee chipset is not working. Yeah, IT SONOFF did send this to me, so I reached out to them so they get a replacement. But hey, maybe we'll just stick with the tried and true, going with Ethernet or USB and not doing the Wi-Fi thing. But if we do get another one, then we'll maybe potentially do something with it. But hey, we got a bad unit out the box. So they did send some other stuff, and I'm not going to be really a fan. This is a Wi-Fi door sensor that is honking massively huge. I mean, even next to, I know everybody's seen a regular Sharpie before. This thing is pretty big. I mean, even the big Hue motion sensor is smaller than this. This is supposed to be just a door sensor. I'm betting this is not going to be ESP based. Well, it does take, looks like AAA's. See if we can pop this guy out. Yes, it's not going to be a ESP based type of door sensor there. So, not going to do too much with that. Don't really use the eWeLink app, so I don't know. Maybe we'll give it away on a live stream or something to someone else that will use it. So the RGB L3 Pro does look like it does have cool white and warm white. We'll see if we'll fire this thing up, and has a little controller that goes with it, and I'm curious to see if we can just see what type of LEDs we have here. So it looks like 5-volt DO and DI, which means that's the data out and data in. So these are going to be addressable type of LEDs. I'm curious to see what exact LED is in there. They don't say. Not ESP. It's so sad that they're switching as well off of ESP. Hey, if you don't like money, don't like sales and the DIY stuff, then don't use ESP, I guess, right? Because then we just put you on the no list because you end up just buying this from somewhere else, and then this is just a simple controller. We don't want to control lights in the cloud, really. And I mean, for the most part, it just seems like you should give us an option. Hey, you want someone to take it out of the box and, put it in the cloud? Go ahead. ESP will do that, but then put the pin headers on it for us to do the DIY stuff and take it local, and you have the same unit and you can sell to both crowds. That's just money on the table. So for the camera, I am going to be doing something with the camera to really show how, let's just show the quality. So we're looking at the AV Access, and I know I've seen a bunch of different products from AV Access in the past, and that's why I took the opportunity when they said, hey, we want to send this to check out. Well, y'all do have some other cool products, so why not? In a nutshell, it's going to take one HDMI output of some device and run it over to, say, another display, projector, or whatnot. And it does a bunch of other features as well, such as the IR, etc. That way you just have a CAT cable. I'm not sure the exact one they're not showing on here, but we'll look and see. It just says CAT X. The user manual. Of course, we're probably not going to go through it, but I wanted to see what, and I'll probably just put some of the specs up on the frame instead of going through it. It just says UTP. Maybe I'll see what the particular CAT cable it wants to use, whether it's like Cat 5 or Cat 6. Just looks like we get power supplies. Looks like an IR receiver, IR emitter, so the transmitter. So this will go on the other side, and that way it'll pick up the infrared signal and go through the wire. Interesting. Looks like they get all the different power plugs with it as well. Don't normally see that. I normally only see where they'll, I guess, one SKU and call it a day, and you'll get the various different style power plugs with it. And then this is the IR receiver, probably. So we'll get to the nuts and bolts of the thing. I want to look at these units. So it looks like you're going to have your transmitter where you'll have like whatever type of player, and I'll get to my thoughts on that, but whatever type of HDMI source you have, and then you'll receive it using this one. And there's nothing crazy on the back of it. Your UTP, that's probably talking about the unshielded twisted pair, HDMI in, infrared in and out, and looks like you got a screw-on style. I like that, of the power supply. And I don't see another power supply, so I'm guessing it's some type of power over Ethernet that goes in between, but yet they have 12 volts, so maybe you just got to power it on either side, which is pretty cool. That's interesting. So nothing really else on the front. Power link, video eARC, and same thing there. So we'll check these out. But one thing, I guess, I don't really see a lot of use cases, maybe some extreme homes, but the typical home, not so much for these, because I mean, like, I just heard something the other day and they're like, well, we don't have to run wires to our TV anymore because all the smart TVs, and they're just using Wi-Fi for the most part, and people just hang a little speaker bar below it, and then they have a subwoofer behind them, behind the couch, that's wireless as well. So really the tech of this, I don't see the need to send HDMI around the house as maybe as much now. Just because if, like, say if you wanted to bring something out to the outdoors, well, just bring a TV with a little smart TV built into it, or you could do a little streamer such as a Fire Stick or something like that, and then you're just doing Wi-Fi. But I guess if you're doing some projector stuff or whatever, this would be very helpful. So this next one, well, you can see it already there. We've been familiar with a lot of their different light switches and plugs and dimmers, and I think even light bulbs. Well, Treatlife is jumping into the Zigbee world, and this is their little Zigbee gateway type deal. It is Tuya based, so you will add this to the Tuya app. Not really for me, but where I'm interested more is actually in the sensors, because of course we'll use that with all the Zigbee to MQTT, ZHA, etc., whatever can support Zigbee. So proprietary cloud hubs that take a Zigbee protocol. If you're not sure what Zigbee is, I've had done a lot of videos on it before, but Zigbee is a local, meaning it does not leave your house, so it does not rely on the internet. Now you can make it cloud based, but that's just to do things remotely. But it shouldn't rely on the cloud to do things. So we usually use a different radio or coordinator. So we'll toss this guy out. So they have a door sensor, and just for size relations, I know everybody knows what a little USB flash drive looks like and the size of it. So they have a door sensor or a window sensor, whatever you want to call it, but it's just a contact sensor where this magnet will stay next to it. And you've seen these out probably from different alarm systems. Well, this is so you can power and make your own little kind of security or whatever you want to do for things in the home. But I'll show you one issue I have with this. Well, we'll zoom in and I'll show you, but let me look at the other ones. So they do have, this is their flood or water leak detector. I don't know, I want to call it a flood detector. Flood, I think, is more of...
Like and subscribe, or you will have a flood like this. at your... Oh, I'm gonna jump in.
Yeah, that. And this is going to be a water leak where, say, you put them, under a sink or behind a toilet or whatnot, and you can see these little two contacts. When water bridges that, then of course, then this thing goes off and lets you know that your toilet or your sink is leaking. There's no little probe sticking down, but these things the little lips don't stick up too much. I went ahead and tried this to see how it works exactly, in a real scenario. But inside of it, there are AAA batteries. I do like that. There's a little audible speaker here. There's the pairing. And I did pair this up with Zigbee to MQTT. And it just comes up as a Tuya kind of generic leak detector. So that's cool. It does work out the box. The door sensor also paired up just fine with Zigbee to MQTT. This paired up fine, but of course it shows unsupported. This is the motion sensor, It does have lux, or basically just show you how much light is in the room. Say like to drive some automations with bulbs or whatever. And it has a little power adapter so you can use it. Now, of course, it's not USB-C, micro, or mini, whatever they call it. This does allow you to charge it up. Pretty cool. So you're not having to go find these CR123s on Amazon or whatever it may be. It does have this little back that snaps on here, as well as there's this little sticky thing that you can, stick it to the wall or whatever to mount it where you need. One issue I had with the door sensor, that may just be mine, the door sensor I did find kind of, I guess it's about average size, but there's the little reset on the side so you can pair it with your network, but you'll notice something. It just slides apart, right? It has a little coin cell battery in it. Typical deal. This little slides in, it holds it, blah, blah, blah. But you'll notice that. See the gap? It's like the battery door doesn't click. I would probably not want to use this. Like I said, it might just be mine. But if I would have bought this off Amazon, I probably would have sent it back. They did send this to me for review. But yeah, I hope this is not just my issue. Pretty cool that Treatlife is getting into the Zigbee world, and well, hopefully we'll see this in Zigbee to MQTT and possibly one of our future videos for doing motion sensors. So this is another little IP camera. This is Vikylin, if I'm saying it right. And looking at it on the listings, I would like, that looks like Daiwa or Amcrest style, which of course that's all by Daiwa. And this one has some optical zoom on the lens, and I think it's up to like a 5x zoom. And of course, if I'm probably wrong, I'll put the correction up on the screen. And this is power over Ethernet, typical deal, plug it in, get power, Ethernet. And if you wanted to power it, you could through 12 volt. And it looks like it potentially may have some white LEDs with some infrared LEDs on it. It does have a lockable mount, which is good. I normally don't see that on some, unfortunately, at this price point for this one. But the problem is, I always try to ask on cameras, hey, where can people go download the software, the firmware, upgrades, etc.? Because, especially for cameras, you should always go make sure you download the latest firmware for the camera. Lots of security updates, etc. But the response I got back was that, hey, like I said, hey, is there like an upgrade page for, I sent an example of like Reolink or Amcrest, they list all their cameras and their firmwares, and you just pick it and you go. But they told me there's very few cameras that need firmware upgrades. And then they wanted the serial number to get me an upgrade, which is weird. Why can't somebody just go on the web? Probably not a company that should be in business doing security cameras if they don't worry about security. So maybe we'll include this in a little upcoming deal where I'm doing some cameras again, but we'll see how things play out with the firmware upgrade. So thanks to all the Patreon members, YouTube members. We definitely couldn't do this without you. And I'll thank all the vendors as well that sent your stuff in for submission. Hopefully we'll get to some other project or review videos on some of this stuff. So if you like some of it, shoot us a comment down below. Other than that, you know the drill. Press all them buttons and y'all take care. If you're not using any water leak